Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Red Cloud's 2021 Oktoberfest Fall Mining Showcase. I am David Talbot, Managing Director and Head of Research here at Red Cloud Securities. We are thrilled to host almost 90 companies and 3 keynote speakers with you over the next 3 days, today being focused largely on gold. So I'd like to kick off today's itinerary and thank WGM for sponsoring this first session. Pancon Resources is first up with CEO Layton Croft presenting. Pancon is developing its Brewer Gold and Copper project in South Carolina. So Layton, you're going to have 10 minutes and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session at the end. Attendees, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A link. Go ahead.
Thank you, David, and good morning, everybody. This is Layton Croft in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to be your morning caffeine as we kick off this conference. Pan-Continental Resources, or we go by Pancon for short. We're focused on the Brewer Gold and Copper project in Chesterfield County, South Carolina in the US. You can see here on the cover slide an aerial view. This is a brownfield project. It's a past producer, oxide gold mine in the 1980s and 90s. It produced about 180,000 ounces of gold. We've been exploring for a little more than a year. We have exclusive rights to explore and maybe buy this property. It's very exciting. There's 3 value drivers and really big porphyry potential. So I'm going to get started here. There's the disclaimer language. Some key points about the Brewer Gold and Copper project. It is a premier brownfields project. We're exploring for gold and copper at the historic Brewer Gold Mine. We're only 12 kilometers, 15 minutes in my truck from the producing Hale Gold Mine, Oceana Gold. They produced about 150,000 ounces last year. They look like they have a good long life ahead of them. So we're in a great neighborhood. Brewer is a high sulphidation epithermal system with large porphyry potential underneath. We have drilled 2 initial phases in our maiden drill program. We've intersected significant gold and copper below and to the south of the former open pit, which was a very shallow pit. We're fully funded for another at least 3,000 meters of diamond drilling in phase 3 of our program. To date, we've drilled 9,000 meters of diamond core, of sonic drill samples, and of rotary air blaster RAB drill samples. And we've got a very strong team. There's a lot of words on this page this morning. I would like to highlight that we put out a news release here called Brewer Gold and Copper Project Update. I would direct your attention to panconresources.com to see this presentation here and that news release. In that, we announced Lori Curtis is joining our board. Keith Laskowski has become an advisor, and David Harkwell has become an advisor. So we're very excited about these new additions to our team. We're strengthening the team. We've got a very strong technical team, which is essential for a project like this. It's a very large alteration zone, a very big system. It's also complex, just like Hale. This is a system that was created 500 million years ago. And there's been a lot of metamorphic activity over the years. So we need the best people we can marshal together to create value for the shareholders and make a big discovery. This is our capital structure on the left side of this screen. You can see we've got a little more than 1.5 million Canadian dollars in the treasury. We're funded for another 3,000 meters of drilling in 2022. We've got a good, tightly held shareholder base. 55% of the shares are either with management or high net worth investors who are close to us or institutions. And we're seeing a good, strong performance in share price and in volume. We are located in the Carolina Slate Belt. It is the home of the first discovery of gold in all of North America in the early 1800s. We're in a great neighborhood. It's very prolific for gold. You can see this red strip here running through from southwest to northeast, right through the Carolinas. So we're next to Hale, we're next to past producers Ridgeway and Barite Hill. And unlike the others, like I've said, we do have a copper porphyry signature. It makes our project very unique with a lot of very large upside potential. We have the Jefferson Gold Project, which is a collection of private leases. You can see here in this map, the blue is the Jefferson Project, and it's wrapping around the 1,000-acre Brewer Gold Mine with another 2,000 acres of mineral rights and the option to purchase this land. So a total package of about 3,000 acres. And you can see how it kind of moves to the northeast there, which is consistent with the regional trend of the Carolina Slate Belt. So it's a Monday morning. It's probably too early to talk about martinis, but here's a martini glass. It's a nice conceptual model for what we're hunting. There's a big magmatic volcanic heat engine pushing up mineralized gold and copper many, many years ago, 500 million years ago. You can imagine it coming through that stem and spreading out to that widespread alteration zone with a. This is exactly what we're seeing at Brewer. Those olives represent high-grade targets of high-grade gold and copper. This is a little more of a technical cartoon. And you could see on the right, this high sulphidation epithermal style, which is more like Brewer. And to the left there, you see a low sulphidation style, which is more like Hale. So this is, it really does capture kind of the model that we're looking at here in South Carolina. You can see on the right, Timok in Serbia and Tujuh Bukit in Indonesia. Our new director, Lori Curtis, led the company that discovered and developed the Tujuh Bukit discovery deposits, which are now operating mines in Indonesia, which are very similar, this high sulphidation epithermal gold copper deposits with upper zones and lower zones. And again, this slide is intended to show kind of the potential scope and scale of what we are exploring for here in the Carolinas. We did geophysics and initial shallow drilling last year. We did gravity, we did ground magnetics, we did resistivity IP, we did a bunch of shallow drilling. We're taking a very data-driven, systematic approach to exploration, and every step along the way has been encouraging, and we keep building from the previous step to the next step on the decisions we're making, and the results we're getting are very exciting. You can see here some of the results from that drilling. We've also done our best to mine data. So this is a brownfield project with lots of data. We took 48,000 gold assays, data points from the previous blast holes when they were mining in that shallow pit that only went down about 60 meters here. You can see here this cross section. And then we were able to recreate a three-dimensional model of what that ore looked like, what the deposit, what the shape and geometry was. And you can see here a plan view of that. You could see this trend, this cross-cutting trend, northwest to southeast. And this really helped us target our phase 2 diamond drill results. There's too much information in such a short time for me to get into everything on every slide. But again, this presentation is on our website. But this is where we've been drilling. We've been getting excellent results by any measure. We've only reported 12.5 diamond drill holes and with some really exciting results. This is a cross section. This is the former mine here. You can see in that cross hatch section there. And you can see the vertical holes with the colors show the gold and the copper values that we're getting. So we're drilling deeper than the previous historic drilling. The historic drilling was just focused on that near surface oxide zone where the material had been oxidized and exposed. But what we know is that there is a lot of gold and copper in the sulfide, the unoxidized material below. But we've also learned, and we reported a few weeks ago in hole 15 to the south, you can see kind of on the left side of the screen, gold and copper below for historic drilling and south of the former mine. So it shows that this system is open in all directions. I talked about 3 value drivers. One of them is remediating the backfill waste. The previous operator put 7 million metric tons of stockpiled sulfide ore that they tried to leach unsuccessfully and waste rock back into the pit. We did 6 high quality sonic holes, and we came up with 0.351 average of gold, grams per ton gold, which, according to some independent analysts, including David Talbot here, that could be quite a bit of gold in the former backfill waste. And this is a source of acid mine drainage, which is something that we want to remediate. And we think we can do it and also monetize that material along the way, which is exciting. There's way too much information on this slide, but I would highlight slide 15 for you to go back to, and you can see holes 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10 and 15, excellent gold and copper results. The GT values, grade and thickness, is a common way to measure significance. An independent group, Paradigm Capital in Toronto, kind of has a little scale here of good, very good, and exceptional. If you look at our holes 4, 5, and 8, those all hit the exceptional range. Hole 15 is good and very good. So I want to finish with this slide. We have 3 value drivers. Number 1, we want to quickly remediate the waste and monetize the gold contained in the former mine pits that were reclaimed, as I mentioned. 2, we want to define and develop a maiden gold copper resource below and near the former mine. Again, it's open in all directions. There could be new telescope deposits of mineralized gold and copper in any direction away from that former mine and below it. 3, we want to use our geologic compilation and discovery model of the broader Brewer-Jefferson system to discover a large copper gold porphyry deposit. We have 2 more years left on our option agreement. We have excellent local relations with community and government, and good stakeholder social license to operate. We have a very strong team. We have money in the till for more drilling, and we're very bullish and excited. David, now ready for Q&A.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Layton. Great presentation as always. We do have a few questions here. You did mention the possibility for production or at least near-term cash flow. What sort of potential do you have, maybe looking at the material that's been refilled into the old open pits?
Well, we are currently doing metallurgical tests. We're doing some cyanide leach testing, bottle roll testing, as it's sometimes called. We're also looking at hydrometallurgical, which could be faster, cheaper, and more environmentally friendly as a way to extract gold from that former waste material. So it's still a bit early to tell you exactly how that may be processed, but we're studying all the opportunities. And we do think that since it's already been blasted, there will be less time and less money required to produce a concentrate, ideally with good recovery rates that we then could monetize. But again, a key part of that objective is to greatly reduce, if not eliminate, the underlying environmental issue of acid mine drainage at the site, which I would mention predates any human exploration or extraction of gold and copper at this site that's been going on for a couple hundred years. Just because of the nature of the alteration zone, there's so much metal in the ground. There's historic acid mine drainage exacerbated by the mining, but we think we can reduce, if not eliminate it, by taking out that backfill material that's currently in the pit.
And maybe just briefly touch on that acid mine drainage. That is not a liability to you, correct?
It is not a liability to us. Thank you very much. Environmental Risk Transfer is a U.S. company based in the state of Missouri. It's a privately held company. They're very unique. They specialize in owning environmental risk and transferring it from the current owner to them. They also try to find other value drivers and revenue sources to monetize the project, and it can be in different sectors. In this case, they would own the environmental liability, which is currently owned by the government here in the U.S., the state and at the federal level. And that would take it away from Pancon as the operator of any future operation. Currently, the structures, we would be the 100% operator, and our partner's Environmental Risk Transfer would take that environmental liability.
Okay, and when might you be able to release a resource estimate? And will that include both the in-pit fill and the hard rock mineralization below the open pit?
Thank you, David. Well, as I said, we have 2 years left on our option agreement with the government. It's unclear right now when we would be able to release a resource estimate. I think it's within the realm of possibility that could happen in 2022, next year in the calendar year. And I think we would probably want to look at, as you can see here with value drivers number 1 and 2, probably 2 sort of nearby or proximal resources, one in the waste, in the pit, in the backfill material, and one below it in fresh rock.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about your next phase of drilling and your results. You put a pause on drilling really only because you don't have your results yet. When do you expect your assays to come in? You've got a lot of holes out there right now pending results.
Thank you, David. Yes, indeed. And as I said earlier this morning, we put out a news release with a project update, which does talk about what you just said. And every company in our industry is experiencing slow turnaround times from labs. It's just a nature of the sort of post-COVID or COVID economy that we're living in right now. So what we're doing is we're taking advantage of those slow turnaround times, and we expect those results coming in hopefully before the end of this year, by Christmas time, I'd like to think. We've got RAB results pending. We've got diamond core results pending. But what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the time. Sometimes in this business, I think you really want to sit down, take a breath, look at the data, and do some good, rigorous desktop analysis. And that's when we talk about, if you look at our third value driver, the geologic compilation and the discovery model for Brewer, that's exactly what we're doing now. So in a way, this is an ideal situation that we find ourselves in.
Perfect. Okay, well, why don't we wrap it up there, Layton, right on time. So thank you very much. Thank you for everyone joining us. Up next, we have Cerrado Gold Corporation.